The thing that monkhood does so well is they teach you how to do things for its intended purpose. So for example, the bedroom. The bedroom is for sleep. And when we first came into monkhood, they gave us a tent. And in this tent, there was nothing else. All we have is very simple. We had, I believe, like a blue yoga mat that was very thin, not comfortable at all. For our pillow, we had our set of robes. That includes this robe, the sankati that we wear over the main robe, and then also we wrap it with a yellow belt, the belt that a chest belt. So we wrap it very nicely, and then we use that as a pillow. So it's interesting because when you sleep on this, it actually flattens it. So it's kind of like our iron. So it serves two purposes. Our robes are very pressed, and then secondly, we use it as a pillow. For monks, we have two sets of robes, and then the other one we would use as a blanket. So again, we have our pillow with the robes. We have another robe that we use to cover ourselves as a blanket, and then we're sleeping on a thin mat, and that's what our bed consisted of. This for us was important because back home in our bedroom, it's so cluttered. People use the bedroom as their living room. This is where some of us eat. I don't know, for those watching, how many of you are guilty with this, where you're on your computer, where you do your office work in your bedroom, where you're also eating, you're chatting on the phone, you're watching TV. So this room that's designed for sleep, it's now a multi-purpose room, and we use it for everything, from an office to a living room to a dining room, and we mix and match. So when we do, and when it's time to go to sleep, then it impacts our sensory. So it trains us that it's time to be active and it's time to think. But really with monkhood, when you only have a tent, when you only have a sleeping mat and robes, when you go at the proper time to sleep, you just fall asleep. Because we're not on our phones, we're not checking internet, we're not doing any of that stuff. But simply having that environment, it trains our minds that when you walk into your bedroom, in our case it's a tent, that it's time to go to sleep. Nothing else, and it trains your mind to already be there, to be still, and it develops that habit. So when you lay down, automatically you can fall asleep very easily. So that's one tip, where again, use your room, use your bedroom for its intended purpose. And when you do that with just your room, just your bed, and it's sleep time, you'll be able to knock that habit out easily, and it will definitely improve. Another thing that we do in monkhood that is very helpful is that we have a consistent sleep time. As a new monk, we have lights out at 10 p.m. So in the daytime, we're just working. When we are working, we're not able to come back to our room and sleep and lay around, but really we just leave. We do our business, we do our work, and then when it's time, after our shower, after chanting, then we come back. And then when it's time to sleep, 10 o'clock, lights out, and that's the end of that. And in the beginning, like I said, it's very difficult. Our sensory is still moving. However, when you do this month after month, then naturally it develops into a habit and it starts to change. So this tip is just have a consistent sleep time. So I alluded to this tip before, but when we wake up, we make our bed and we're out. It's very important because a lot of people wake up, they don't even make their beds, they go out, they have breakfast, They come back in, and again, this is not to judge your lifestyle, but it's just a common occurrence or a common pattern that people display outside, and I did that as well. But really, it is helpful because in monkhood is when we wake up, we make our bed neatly, very clean, very disciplined. And for us, it's so important because in monkhood, they train us that our outside environment reflects our inner world. So a lot of times people can't access this inner world yet. It's not so bright, it's not so clear because we haven't done that work yet. So then an easy thing to grasp is more tangible, and that is making our outside world. So when it comes to bedtime, it's just making our bed very neat, folding it properly, stacking it, and then when you're done, you're done. 30% of our life is spent in the bedroom, spent regarding sleep. We spend about 8 hours each day out of the 24 hours sleeping, getting ready to sleep, getting out of sleep. But when we spend 30% of our energy, of our efforts doing this activity, it becomes a habit. And they teach us that when we get out of bed, make it properly and leave and don't come back. Twofold. One, like I said, it develops this habit that when we come to the bedroom, our mind is already prepped to go to sleep. We're doing nothing else, so we just get right to task. The second purpose for this is that when we finish what we need to finish, not go use the restroom, not go to breakfast and then come back and lie in bed again, because it teaches us not to finish the job. When someone can really get up, make their bed, and then leave, do that every single day, it trains you. Our teaching monk tells us that when we have a problem in our life, we know how to fix them. A, B, C, and you're done. But don't mix and don't be sloppy and don't procrastinate, but just keep training your mind where you finish a task. And when you can do that, then when issues arises in your life, then automatically you'll know how to finish a task very cleanly. You compartmentalize, finish, and then you're on to the next. You don't go back and forth. Another tip that we learned is, again, I shared with you where the bed of a monk is not comfortable. One of our precepts is that we don't sleep on a high, luxurious bed. When I first heard this, I'm like, I don't understand. How does this have to do with anything? But again, in monk training, a lot of things at the beginning does not make sense, but now it makes complete sense. One of the habits that we fight with often is laziness. And back home, for me in Malibu, where I have a nice bed, a comfortable bed, a luxurious bed, when it's my blanket was goose feather, you know. So the pillow was goose feather, and when it's that comfortable, you don't want to leave. But in monkhood, it was the opposite, where when you have the thin yoga mat that is not so comfortable, when you don't have the fluffy pillow and blanket, when it's time to wake up, you just get up. You're not in there laying around just wasting the rest of the day, but really when you sleep on something that is so basic, it helps you to fight that urge of being lazy. So for us, again, like I said, having a thin, low bed on the ground, it's easier when you wake up to get your stuff, go out, and you're ready to start your day. So try that. If anyone is struggling with sleep, I know there are people with back problems. Again, consult your doctor. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but if you are able to, try to sleep on something that is not so luxurious, something that is low to the ground, and it's one of the trainings that we use for ourselves, how to not be lazy, how to not procrastinate, and then get up, get out, and keep going. And this is the last tip that I want to offer you, and I feel like it's the most important. And I never understood this. When I first came to monkhood, I had, or one of the factors of why I was struggling with sleep was because I don't know how I came across this, but before sleeping, I would take that moment to reflect, but I did it incorrectly, was that I reflected on my problems. I thought of the issues that I had throughout the day. I thought of the work items that I needed to do for the next day. I thought of some conflicts. I thought of some disagreements. And for me, I would take this moment, laying in bed, and just taking an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and reflecting. What can I do differently? How can I change this? And I remember coming to monkhood, and I asked my teaching monk, I'm like, I think I've been going to bed wrong. Do you have any tips for me of how to do this? And it was so kind because the teaching monk just kind of chuckled a little bit, not to make fun of me or anything, but he chuckled and he was like, oh, wow. He's like, that's not how you reflect. And two, that's also the wrong time to reflect. I was under the impression that each day I should just think about these things, and then how will I do it differently the following day, so to change the habit. But for my teaching monk, he was saying, no, do you know that the last thing that you think about when you go to bed is automatically the first thing you think about when you wake up the next day? So here we are, and this is many people around the world, maybe you can relate to it, was you sit or you lay down in bed, it's evening time, you think about your problems all evening, and finally you're able to go to sleep. The next morning you wake up, and the first thing you think about is that exact same problem. So really, you barely slept, you didn't even have a good night's sleep, and again, your thought pattern continue. So this sounds a bit cheesy in the beginning, but for me, I'm just simply sharing it because it was transformative. It changed my whole sleep pattern. One of the things that they teach us, or the thing that they teach us, is really to sleep in a sea of merit. And what that means is to think about, not reflecting about your problems, but actually contemplating about the good deeds that you've done for that day. Things that made you feel proud. Especially in monkhood, we always make a habit to improve ourselves. We're doing morning chanting, we're doing evening chanting, we do alms round, that in the morning, that gives the lay people an opportunity to give. We give blessings, we clean the temple. We're doing chores to help with the community. We're helping our neighbors. We're memorizing chanting. And all the good deeds that you've done for that day, the donation, the volunteering, that is what you need to carry. That's what you need to reflect on, contemplate on, and they teach us to put that at your center and allow that good energy to expand. If you can't think of anything good or proud that you did that day, think of something throughout this week. Did you help your parents? Did you help your coworkers? Did you give to an organization? What good did you do this week? Expand it. What good did you do this month? What good did you do this year or this lifetime? But for me, in Buddhism, coming as a son to ordain here in Thailand and be a monk, for us, it's the ultimate merit. It's the ultimate act of purity that you can give to your parents. So for me, sometimes it warms my heart and it like brings me to tears. Again, sorry to be so cheesy, but to do an act that it's good for the world, or to do an act that benefit others, in our case, our parents, This is the highest act of generosity. It makes me feel proud. It makes me feel proud of my ordination. It makes me feel proud of the donation and the giving and all the good deeds, the meditation that I've done, and to teach and to share the Dhamma. It makes me feel great. So take that energy, that good, pure energy, and put that at your center. And this energy should be bright, it should be clear, and just imagine when you're sleeping, put it at your center, allow it to cover you like a blanket. And they always teach us, sleep in a field of merit, a sea of merit. And I just imagine all the good things that I've done. I cover myself and I just let it sit here. And I just let it cover me. I just let it heal me and I let it expand. So now the last thing I do in the evening is I think of all the good deeds. I sleep with that covering me, just with this field, this sea of brightness, this goodness. And then I wake up and I'm fully energized. And for some of you out there who say, well, I'm not sure of some good deeds that I've done, well, that might be a sign that you need to do more good deeds. Do more things that make you feel proud, that helps yourself, help others, and benefit the world. So do more good deeds, cover yourself up, sleep in that sea of merit, and I can guarantee you that it will transform your mood, it will transform the way you see the world, and even better, you'll get a good night's sleep and feel fully rested. And I'm sharing this because it's been a very long time, many years, and now I don't have to rely on these sleep aids. I know how to sleep, I sleep properly, and it recharges me and it energizes me. So for anyone out there who is having any of these issues regarding sleep, wanting to improve your sleep, or learning how to sleep properly, I would say give this a try, and hopefully this can help you sleep a little bit better. So all the way from Thailand, I want to wish you all the best, and hopefully this evening you can sleep in the sea of merit and let it shine and cover you, and sending you blessings all the way from Thailand. So thank you.